Magandang araw mga kasipnayan! Welcome to Sir Ocnic's YouTube channel. In this video, we will recall the different measures of position and we will identify the deciles of a given data. Measures of position give us a way to see where a certain data point or value falls in a sample or distribution. A measure can tell us whether a value is about the average or whether it's unusually high or low. Measures of position are used for quantitative data that falls on some numerical scale. The idea of the median can be associated with the concepts of quartiles, deciles, and percentiles. If the median divides the data into two equal parts, the quartile divides it into 4, deciles into 10, and percentile into 100 equal parts. Let us now focus on deciles. The deciles are the 9 points that divides the distribution into 10 equal parts. D sub 1, D sub 2, D sub 3 up to D sub 9 are the division points between the 10 equal parts. To compute for the position of the deciles for ungrouped data, consider the formula D sub I is equal to I times N all over 10, wherein I is the position of the data and N is the number of data or observations. Remember, if the quotient obtained is not a whole number, round to the next larger number. If the quotient is a whole number, use the value halfway between I times n all over 10 and I times n all over 10 plus 1. Let us have our first example. The scores of 15 students in Mathematics 10 quiz consist of 25 items. The highest score is 25 and the lowest score is 10. Here are the scores. Find decile 1, decile 3, and decile 8 of the given data. The first thing to do is to arrange the scores in ascending order. The proper arrangement is compute for the position of the deciles. Using the formula D sub I is equal to I times N all over 10, wherein I is the position of the data and N is the number of data. For decile 1, that is equal to 1 times 15 since there are 15 total number of data or number of observations all over 10. That is equal to 15 all over 10, which is equal to 1.5, or decile 1 is the second data or second observation. To compute for the third decile, that is 3 times 15 all over 10, which is equal to 45 all over 10, which is equal to 4.5. Since the result is not a whole number, round to the next whole number, which is equal to 5. Therefore, the third decile is the fifth data. For the eighth decile, that will be 8 times 15 all over 10. That is equal to 120 all over 10, which is equal to 12. In this case, the answer or the quotient is an exact number. Therefore, To find the 8th decile, that will be 12 plus 13th data divided by 2. Using the position of the deciles, let us now identify the datas. The first decile is at the second data. Therefore, the first decile is at 10. The third decile is the fifth data. Therefore, the third decile is at 13. For the eighth decile, that is the average of the 12th and the 13th data, which is equal to 18 plus 18 all over 2, or simply 18. Let us have our second example. The scores of 9 students in the mathematics class are given. Find second decile, sixth decile, and the seventh decile. Again, arrange the scores in ascending order before determining the positions. The proper arrangement is 2, 4, 5, 7, 10, 15, 16, 17, and 19. Let us now compute for the positions of the deciles. For the second decile, that is 2 times 9, which is the total number of observations all over 10, which is equal to 18 over 10 or 1.8. Since this is not an exact number, therefore the second decile is at second data. For the sixth decile, we have 6 times 9 all over 10, which is equal to 54 over 10 or 5.4. Since the quotient is not an exact number, round to the next whole number. Therefore, the sixth decile is at the sixth data. For the seventh decile, we have 7 times 9, which is equal to 63 divided by 10, which is equal to 6.3. Since the quotient is not an exact number, round to the next whole number, which is equal to the seventh data. Therefore, the seventh decile is located at the seventh data. Let us now identify the three deciles. The second decile is the second data, which is equal to 4. The sixth decile is the sixth data, which is equal to 15. And the seventh decile is the seventh data, which is equal to 16. A high school teacher assigns trigonometry practice problems to be worked via net. Students use a password to access the problems, and the time of login and log off are automatically recorded for the teacher. At the end of the week, the teacher examines the amount of time each student spent working the assigned problems. The length of time is in minutes. Find the second quartile and the fifth decile. Compare the results. The first thing to do is to arrange the scores in ascending order before determining the positions. The correct order is this one. Using the arranged order, we may now identify the second quartile. Since we have 14 observations, that means that the second quartile is between the 7th and 8th data. So to compute for the second quartile, we will have 25 plus 28 all over 2, which is equal to 53 over 2, or simply 26.5. Let us now solve for the fifth decile. Using the formula for deciles, that will be 5 times 14, since there are 14 total observations all over 10, which is equal to 70 all over 10, or simply 7. Since the quotient is a whole number, that means that the fifth decile is the average between the 7th and 8th data. To solve for the fifth decile, that is equal to 25 plus 28 all over 2, which is equal to 26.5. The results for the second quartile and the fifth decile are equal, which means that the two positions are the same. Let us now summarize what we have discussed in this video. The deciles are the 9 points that divides the distribution into 10 equal parts. D sub 1, D sub 2, D sub 3, up to D sub 9 are the division points between the 10 equal parts. To compute for the position of the deciles for ungrouped data, consider the formula D sub I is equal to I times N all over 10, wherein I is the position of the data and N is the number of data or observations. Let us now check your knowledge. Find D sub 3, D sub 4, D sub 9 of the IQ test results of students of grade 10 Justice. Do not forget to pause this video while you are doing the activity. Good luck! Let us now discuss your work. The first thing to do is to arrange the scores in ascending order before determining the positions. The correct order is this one. Using the arranged scores, let us first compute for the position of the deciles. For the third decile, we have 3 times 12 since there are 12 total number of observations all over 10, which is equal to 36 over 10 or simply 3.6. Since the quotient is not an exact number, round to the next whole number. That means that decile 3 is the fourth data. To compute for the fourth decile, that is 4 times 12 all over 10, which is equal to 48 over 10 or simply 4.8. Since the quotient is not a whole number, therefore, round to the next whole number. That means that the fourth decile is the fifth data. For the ninth decile, that is equal to 9 times 12 all over 10, or simply 108 all over 10, which is equal to 10.8. Round to the next whole number, decile 9 is the 11th data. Using the positions, let us now identify the three deciles. The third decile is the fourth data, which is equal to 114. The fourth decile is the fifth data, which is 115. And the ninth decile is the 11th data, which is equal to 126. Thank you for watching Sir Ocnic's YouTube channel. If you think that this video is a big help, hit like, feel free to share, and do not forget to subscribe. Always have fun in learning math. Enjoy learning! Thank you and God bless.